In our last episode, we awoke an ancient and demonic staff in our quest to leave the exiled lands. Speaking with this demon, we discovered that in order to escape this place, we would first need to remove the bracelet from our arm with the help of a being called the Archivist, who resides in the map room. This led us to the Unnamed city, where we begin our search for the map room. When we enter the city, we walk upon red sand and through large, decrepit spires of rubble. Ancient buildings line the road, and in the distance we see a tall being overlooking this ancient place. As we approach him, it becomes even more clear that he is no human. He is of a race that is far more ancient than ours, and thus must have some clue as to where the map room may be, and so we talk to him.
I smell you, human. The stench of your kind has not improved throughout the eons. Ashes and dust, human. Ashes and dust. All that remains of what we once were. An echo of an echo. In my mind, I still walk the streets of our city. The iron scent of blood as I pass the temple of the old serpent. The thrumming power in my veins as I chant the ritual of summoning. The intoxication and ecstasy of knowledge. Ashes and dust. When the world was shattered, your people came to us as refugees. We were generous. We gave them the wild north. They built a city there amongst the trees and practiced weird sciences and worshipped their demon gods. For 1,000 years, there was peace and trade among our peoples. But your kind is ever seeking, ever grasping, ever multiplying. War was inevitable, and when it came, it was terrible. I see that you wear the bracelet, human. When the war between our peoples began, we created such to bend the prisoners of war to our bidding. My kind are long-lived and slow to replenish our numbers. And as we dwindled in the war, we increasingly came to rely on human prisoners to provide us with labor. To that end, we created the bracelets, to bond your kind, to control your movements, to allow you to understand our language, and to prevent your kind from escaping. But that was an eon ago. To what purpose they have now been attuned, I cannot say. I was one of the triumvirate that ruled this land. The Archivist concerned himself primarily with the collection of knowledge, and the Priest King had dominion over our spirits and the rituals of our faith. My people called me the War Maker, for it was my duty to keep them safe, and for a while I did my duty. I held the northern passages against the humans. Together with the Archivist, I established the watchtowers to warn us of the coming of the humans. They burn still, bonded those of your kind have crossed the borders to our kingdom with the intent to slay, burn, and kill. In the end, we were betrayed. During a skirmish in the north, the humans revealed a new weapon, forged of their strange science. It smashed through the ranks of my troops, turning those captured in its blast into solid stone. Those who survived fled south to lick our wounds. During this moment of weakness, the Priest King came to me with a proposal. A new ritual to counter the human sciences. A powerful magic to scour the landscape and drive them forth. In desperation, I agreed. Do you understand, human? In ages past, this was the most fertile land in our empire. And then I unleashed the magic that created the sandstorm. And I lost control of it. I betrayed my people to a slow, dwindling doom. I have been alone in the darkness for a long time, human. Few have come to me over the eons. But there was a man who came here years ago. I had not spoken with another being for thousands of years, and there was a hunger in me for conversation. He did not wear a bracelet as you do, so he learned my speech, and he listened to me talk of this city and what it once was. And for a while, as I described it to him, it lived again in my mind. Perhaps I spoke too much. When I told him of the greatest artifact of our religion, the Serpent Ring of Set, He left me to search for it. And now your kind come into my city again, wearing the slave bonds and disturbing the dead. Time has taught me that coincidences are simply patterns that I have not yet understood.
Although Warmaker Clayle doesn't offer much in the way of information in regards to the map room, he does offer a great amount of knowledge of the war between the humans and his own species, a war that was alluded to by the staff of the Triumvirate. There were peaceful times before the war, when the two races lived in harmony, but soon the humans became greedy, and they declared war on this once peaceful race. The leaders of this race, known as the Triumvirate, used these bracelets to control their slaves, though now the bracelets hold a different purpose. The Warmaker also reveals to us that he is responsible for the sandstorm, which has turned the exiled lands into the desert we are familiar with. Finally, it is interesting to note that he says the humans unleashed a weird type of magic upon their race, which turned many of their soldiers into stone. Well, if we head to the salt flat area of the map, we can find these strange trees scattered about. These trees are no ordinary trees, for they seem to be formed of humanoid creatures clawing at one another, hoping to escape. Could these be the soldiers that the Warmaker was talking about? At any rate, if we head to this location on the map, we can fight our way to the map room, the location we came here in search of in the first place. Once we enter the map room, we see a large map carved into the floor, a perfect picture of the lands we call home. The walls are lined with scrolls, and large amounts of paper and bone are thrown about onto the floor. Normally, the Archivist is standing opposite the door in this room, but occasionally he can be found above the room itself, through the hole in the ceiling.
Do not be afraid, bonded one. I am just a shadow, a whisper of what once was. Before the fall, when this kingdom raised knighted pillars of black stone to the sky, I was called the Archivist. Have you come to seek a way free of the bonding bracelet, human? There is only one chance, and a very slim one at that. You must assemble the items of power that were present at its creation. The diadem of the giant kings, the mask of the witch queen, the tears of two races, the star of the champion, the heart of the sands, the shining trapezohedron, and the Serpent Ring of Set. I fear I set you an impossible quest, human. The diadem of the giant kings was once worn upon the brow of the priest king. He fell in battle with Tyros, the Deathbringer, in the battlefields of the north. More than that, and most volatile among us, I fear his downfall will not have been a simple matter. The Witch Queen of Lemuria was our great enemy in the dying days of our race. Her people came to us as refugees, but even as they took our succor, they plotted our downfall. She was present at the creation of the bracelet, lending her power to ours. Her fate is unknown to me, but she always ruled from her city in the swamp to the east. The tears of two races were simple to obtain when we performed the ritual. We simply took our tears and combined them. But who is left to weep for both races? Although tales persist of Tyros the Deathbringer, he was born of both races. Our blood mingled with theirs. Perhaps his tears could be enough to fulfill the requirement. Obtaining them would be quite the feat. The star of the champion lies buried beneath the sands of the arena in the east. I remember well the day that Tyros killed the mighty dragon. He wept to defeat such a noble creature. He placed the star upon its brow. As far as I know, there it remains. The heart of the sands, or simply the Scourge Stone, was an artifact of power. The Priest King used it to create a weapon, the Sandstorm, that he swore would be our salvation. He gave it to the Warmaker to unleash upon our enemies. As far as I know, it was destroyed in the attempt. But perhaps the Warmaker has more insight. The Serpent Ring of Set. It was our most powerful artifact. It was kept in a tomb beneath this city, and then one day, a human came. He had all the words and signs of power. He passed through every ward and trap we had put in place. He took the Serpent Ring of Set, and he left. If you wonder why you wear the bracelet, wonder no more. It must have been this man who called himself Tohamon. Dedicate yourself to recovering the other artifacts. You will not recover the Serpent Ring of Set as long as you are trapped in this empire. Perhaps it will be enough. When you have the artifacts, you must place them. It will create a keystone. To remove your bracelet, all that is required is to touch it with the keystone. And then, mortal, you will be free. But freedom will mean giving up all that these lands have come to offer you. So choose wisely. How did I die? I was betrayed by your kind, in a place called the Circle of Swords. I went in good faith to meet the Witch Queen. She had promised peace. I was cut down. My bones were left to rot in the wind. And yet, my spirit has always belonged to the Archives, human. So, I am here. And here I shall remain.
What is interesting about the Archivist, besides the words that come out of his noise hole, is the fact that he speaks of the Witch Queen's betrayal. We can actually witness this betrayal ourselves if we visit the Circle of Swords to the northwest of the map.
This, Bonded One, is the Circle of Swords. Here is where we choose to deal with those who cannot be trusted. One need not fear betrayal at a meeting in the Circle of Swords, for no sorcery can be used in that ancient ring. It was old before our history began. But who built it, and why? I cannot answer. And who do we meet here? That knowledge is forbidden to even our most trusted human servants. Just beware, Bonded One. Those who live beneath the Mountain of Fire.
After we are warned about those who live beneath the Mountain of Fire, we can approach the center of the circle, and we can see the image of the Archivist speaking to some humans. And so, after having learned about how the Archivist was betrayed, and now knowing the items we must gather in order to free ourselves from this bracelet, we may now travel north in search of the first ancient artifact of power, the diadem of the Giant King.